Welcome to Arizona Real Estate Matters, the podcast. I am your host, Phil Putnam with Empire Title Agency, and sitting here to my left is Josh Peacock with Peacock Properties, Promotions, and
Marketing
Marketing.
You got it.
I just know that you help out our wonderful guest, Ilona Poka,
Yeah.
but you also help out a lot of other agents and,
Yeah.
and not just real estate agents, but loan officers with their marketing needs in this tumultuous, ever-changing, evolving real estate.
Yeah, it sure is, man. By the way, this is our first show after. How was your holidays? Your
Nice and quiet.
Yeah. This is the first time I didn't go anywhere. The first time in 30-something years I did not travel.
You didn't go to Pittsburgh?
I did not go to Pittsburgh. I actually slept till about 1 o'clock on Christmas Day. And
I lived vicariously through you. Every Christmas you went to Pittsburgh.
I know, no Pittsburgh this year.
When we did the radio show for 10 years, every Christmas I was doing a show by myself or whatever, because you were going to go to Pittsburgh, and I couldn't figure out why you would go to Pittsburgh in the middle of the winter.
It was awesome. But you know, it was nice. I'm so sick of traveling. I mean, it's crazy nowadays, and it was nice to not have to worry about all that. So it's kind of a Christmas present to myself, and the fact that I didn't have to get on a plane.
There's nothing wrong with chilling, man. There's nothing wrong with chilling. There's nothing wrong with just doing nothing. I'm sure that you guys do it, or you just don't do anything. Matter of fact, was it New Year's Day? My wife, we woke up. She had her, pajama pants and a shirt and everything. And she's like, "This is my uniform for the day."
That's good.
And just stayed, just really relaxed or whatever. And it's all about getting it up here straight and chill and just relaxing and stress-free and everything else. And our guest today, Ilona Poka, she is a broker with Barrett Real Estate. Ilona, welcome to our podcast. You were a guest on our radio show many times.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been in real estate for just about 22 years. I've seen and experienced a whole bunch of different markets, and, I'm excited to be busy and selling real estate. There were some, different things that happened in our industry with the changes in the contract and the good old interest rates.
Mm-hmm.
However, people are always looking to buy or sell. There's always reasons why people need to move or buy. And so I'm grateful that I'm busy during this.
Everybody needs a place to live.
For sure.
Now, whether you buy a home or to live in, or you need a house to rent, there's got to be an owner for that home that you're renting.
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be housing, and we're going to have lulls. We're going to have the ups and downs. Josh talks about the ebbs and flows of the real estate market quite a bit. And, and some of them are a lot more challenging than others. That's for sure. But you mentioned how, there was a time there recently where you think things were a little slower than you wanted them to be. And then out of nowhere, it got busy for you.
Yeah, really, it's been kind of slow for me the last 4 years since COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that's because I was embarking on the trauma and mental health work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And, in December, I was kind of at my wit's end and like, okay, what am I supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
Is it real estate? Is it work with trauma and mental health? Is it both? I don't know. I feel as realtors that, and I said this to a friend of mine who is an agent who's going through some things, we like to control the situation. As a realtor, it's not just about showing the house.
That's okay. They're good.
There's many other factors that go into it.
I want to add real quickly that the market, it's a mental market right now, because we're going through 3 years of kind of higher rates and slower business, and it really is a mental game right now. I think that bodes well with your background. You have a degree in psychology. I always get psychology and philosophy. Psychology.
They can't be any more different.
I know they can't, but I get them messed up. It's the PSY thing, and
So you're not really good at physics either.
No, probably not. No.
So the whole mental health thing, and we're going to get into more of that during the show here, but because, one of Ilona's slogans, or her slogan, is connecting mind, body, and home. And they are connected. So let me read you an article, because I want to talk about the real estate industry. You're part of the real estate industry and what you're seeing and what you're doing and what sets you apart and things like that. But I also want to talk about your your efforts in the mental health field and in everything, because that is such a huge part of what we do as humans, but as real estate agents dealing with people. But let me read this to you. This article that I ran across, this article speaks of what we talk about on this show all the time. And the title of the article is "Time in the Market Beats Timing the Market."
Okay.
And what this individual was saying is, no matter which way the real estate market is leaning though, buying now means you can start building equity immediately. So are you going to buy now and spend time in the market building equity? Or are you going to sit there and try to time the market to when it's ideal for you? And while you're waiting, every day you're waiting, you're losing money.
There's a cost of wait. Yep.
So
Absolutely.
What do you see in talking to your clients and your potential clients and the people that you talk to? You mentioned it was a little bit slow, but then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, I'm busy again. Give me, you talk to people when you were slow. What was their mental, position? And now that you're busier, the ones that are pulling the trigger and writing contracts, what's their mental position as far as real estate is concerned?
Well, I feel it positive versus negative mentality, really, and how people choose to look at the market. I have buyers that are okay with the 7% interest rate, and they can afford that. And their focus is purchasing a house, and, either first time home buyers or, downsizing. It's their mental focus, whatever's important to them. And so the 7%, they're like, okay, that's okay. Perhaps in a few years, rates will go down, but they're looking at it as a long-term investment.
Mm-hmm.
Real estate has never been a short-term fix, and so many people want to ride that train, but it's just long.
Well, you have so many people that are just they're afraid of a 6 3/4 rate, but you give them the payment, but they're fine with the payment.
Yes.
So it's what is the you date the payment? No, you date the rate. No, you date the rate, you marry the payment, something like that. There's some saying there.
Yeah, I heard.
It's called marry the house and you date the rate.
Okay,
No.
something like that. Thanks, Phil. Thanks for
because it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that people need to, unfortunately, okay, so let's look back. This is 2025. So I know it's only a few days into 2025, but we're talking from the beginning of 2000 till now, 25 years has passed. So all the people born, I know this is it makes me feel old. I don't know about you guys, but everybody born in the year 2000 are probably first-time home buyers here in the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. Okay. So in that time period, we had two periods where there was favorable, not only interest rate, but kind of a furied market. You had the 08 or prior to 08, 07, 08 crash. And then recently with the pandemic and the drop in the interest rates down to 2.5%. So these people have experienced two different times. It's like, well, I'll wait for that to come back around. Well, unfortunately, in the last 25 years, we had two things that have never happened before. We had a market that just went crazy and, before and from 2000 to about 2007. And then we had a global pandemic that hasn't happened since the earliest, 1918, whatever. So you've got all these people that mentally think, well, it will come back around and we'll have another, I might wait for that. Well, you may be waiting for a really long time.
And those weren't healthy markets.
No, they actually were both of those, which appear to be, healthy markets. They appear to prove to be detrimental to the long-term health of the real estate market.
Yeah.
And so the people you're working with now, when you say they're okay with 7% interest rates, I think everybody's going to have to be, okay with rates that are not 2.5% because they're not coming back. And I think mentally people just need to get in that position and say, okay, well, I guess they're not going to come back. I better buy something now, because here's the thing is that I don't really expect, even if we went flat appreciation for the next 2 years, you're still going to be losing money, because then after that, it's going to start climbing again. So this whole time that you've been sitting around waiting, every single day, you are losing future profit.
Yeah. And I want to say one thing, and the only thing you have complete control in life over is your attitude, right? I mean, that's the only thing you control. You had mentioned the stat earlier, and that is, I think I'm not quoting a rate, but I think we're on 6.75, somewhere in that neighborhood right now. You look at the actual average interest rate. You had talked a little bit about that. The average interest rate
7
over the last 30, 40 years has been like 7. So we're still under average.
Historically, I know this might sound weird, but historically, for looking back over a 30-year period, our rates are lower than the average over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
So when you talk to people, whether you're slow or not, are some people on the fence and that you have to, I might say, convince them to get off the fence, but maybe sometimes they convince themselves just having a conversation with you?
Well, yeah, I think that, having a discussion with a real estate professional and getting different perspective from what's going on in the market, what's happened the last 20 years, like you said, where do we expect things to go? Like people say that, I think 2.5 is going to come back. And I'm like, huh? No, sorry. I don't want to offend you. However,
well, how about asking them? So prior to the pandemic at 2.5%, when was the last time we had 2.5% interest rate? Yeah. They're not going to be able to answer that question, but we've never had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's never existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also feel that, I'm not about convincing somebody. Either they see the benefit in it or they don't. Either it works for them and what their long-term goal is, or it doesn't. And so, usually after the conversation I have with them, they're more keen to see, hey, now is the right time,
Well, I will tell you that the prediction for the next 4 years is that this is in the United States. So Arizona's a little bit different. We're usually a little bit higher. But over the next 5 years, so all of 2005, 26, 27, 28, 29, we're looking at 11, 7, 18%. And this is conservatively, I think, an 18% appreciation over the next 5 years.
Yeah. Zoinks. That's really good.
If you're a potential home buyer and you're waiting for 2.5% to come back, okay, it's not, and you're going to lose 18% on whatever your investment is over the next 5 years. That's money in somebody else's pocket, not on your own, because when you're renting, you're paying somebody else's mortgage or you're putting their profit in their pocket. So when you have conversations like that with people, do you all of a sudden, light bulb go on? Can you physically see them go, oh, God, this makes sense. Let's just do it.
Yes, absolutely. Once they have a better understanding, some people are already know. And then
they just need a little helping and a little coaxing maybe, or let me, tell me that I'm making the right decision.
Yeah. Well, and yes, I have seen them come and all of a sudden the light bulb goes off and they're like, oh my goodness, that makes so much more sense, because they don't know all of the ins and outs like we do. They don't work in the industry every day for the last 22 years. So, once I explain to them, okay, this is, look, in 5 years, the values are going to go up 18%. So you can either be winning on that where you gain that 18% equity, or you're gonna be running after the ball.
And by the way, your payment at 6.375 or whatever it is, most of the time they're like, oh, it's not that bad. I mean, I was a loan officer for 20 something years, and I know that for a fact that the people get afraid of the interest rates, but you quote them a payment and they're usually okay with it.
They're okay with the payment. Yeah. For some reason, the interest rate throws them off. So based off that appreciation rate that I talked about, if you bought a $400,000 home over that 5-year period, it would equate to a profit of $83,251. So, if you don't understand what 18% over a period of time would be, let's go ahead and use it with real numbers. 400,000 is like the average price home in the Phoenix area. And if you bought a home today and it did appreciate for that conservative amount over the next 5 years, you'd put $83,000 in your pocket. I don't know a single soul who wouldn't like to have $83,000 in their pocket over the next.
Yeah. I mean, where else can you?
There's nowhere. There's no other investment even close to.
I think I just answered anybody. I mean, 100% of everybody would like that. That's for sure. All right. So let's talk about this. As a broker and having your own agency, Barrett Real Estate, we had something happen recently where it has to do with compensation. We won't call it commissions anymore. We're going to call it compensation. I won't go into it because in my opinion, it's a little convoluted. And on top of it, it wasn't needed in our industry, but that's my opinion. What are you seeing out there, and has anything changed?
What has changed is there's more forms and more paperwork. However, it's really the same. It's really the same thing. Not much has changed. You know, I still am seeing agents, you know, getting the same compensation. It's just
From the same areas of a transaction?
Yeah.
Buyer or seller, whoever's, but normally seller?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I haven't had one person, you know, that I've spoken with have an issue either on the buyer or the seller side. So I feel, you know, honestly, for me, it makes me feel more worthy. I think that I look at my job a little bit more of, wow, what is the value that I create? And all of those changes, that was my takeaway. No, I really do provide a lot for people, regardless of who is, you know, taking care of the compensation. I haven't had anybody, you know, people don't like change necessarily. And so I had a couple of people that were taken back, but overall, you know, there's not an issue because we negotiate and, you know, in our client's best interest. Mm-hmm. So for me, now you talk to some other people, right? But it's also a state of mind. And if I were to get caught up in that negativity, you know, for me in the beginning, it was the information gathering and what I needed to do to make sure that, you know, I was working in my client's best interest and also being compensated for my time. Once I had a better understanding of that, then it was easy.
Yeah. And Ilona, one thing I like about you is that you're not just the transactional, get people through all the paperwork. You're really there kind of meant to keep them. I mean, there's a mental fitness aspect with you, you know, regarding like, you know, we talked about when we've created stuff for you before regarding breathing techniques and ways to overcome stress and get it so that you can deal with it. I know that goes hand in hand with purchasing real estate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, I've had clients, we've put in offers, you know, they didn't get accepted and they're bummed out. And I always remind them, hey, listen, trust me, I've been doing this for 22 years. If you were meant to have that property, it would have worked out. Like I did exactly what I needed to do. I worked in your best interest. However, there's something else out there that is for you and not this specific one, you know, and then even I had, you know, an elderly client who was 76 years old who, you know, doesn't have email or text message. And so I'm driving a half hour to get documents signed. And then her sister.
Wait a minute. That's the way we used to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And so, you know, just more of that, really caring for people. Mm-hmm. You know, yes, I sell real estate. However, it's also about the people, helping them regardless of the situation that they're in, you know, whether they're 76 or the 27-year-old first-time home buyer that I just helped.
So we, prior to taping the podcast today, our company had a managers meeting, and it was a combined managers and marketing. It was all the marketing reps and the managers got together, and they wanted us to pose questions to the marketing reps. And so the president of our company asked us to send them some questions that they could ask everybody. And my question was, what is it that you are selling to our prospective clients? And I know the answer to that question, but I wanted to know what it was they were selling. And the same holds true for you, and it holds true for Josh and anybody on our industry. You're not selling homes. Josh isn't selling marketing assistance. I'm not selling title and escrow. What we are selling is an experience. And we're selling an experience. It's like, because everything about what we do is an experience that other people are going to feel. And if at the end of that, they're good, they're fine with that experience, that means success.
Yeah, totally.
There just happens to be money involved in it where you get a commission or you get, you know, a portion of whatever, you know, your side of it. And I do the title and escrow. But if all of us provide a good experience for the clients, that, again, that's success. And that kind of goes to the other part of what you do, which is the mental health side of real estate.
Yeah.
So what are you seeing with your expertise in mental health, but what are you seeing? What are you seeing on the real estate side? Maybe, I mean, are the things that are lacking or the good things or whatever? What are you seeing?
In the real estate industry?
Yeah, related to mental awareness or mental health,
And buyers and sellers, yeah.
or other agents or loan officers, or you know what I'm saying?
Yes. So I go back to, whether you have a positive aspect or a negative aspect on life, right? I could take the same situation and choose to be negative. And however, changing my mindset on what I perceive, right? Everybody has a different perception. And so why not make it positive?
Yeah, exactly. That's, again, coming down to you control your attitude. That's the only thing you control in this life.
However, what people don't realize is our personalities today are based on childhood and how we grew up as child, the things that we experiences, the trauma responses that we created to survive,
Yeah.
right? I mean, and nothing, everybody does the best that they can with what they're given as far as our parents. I'm not here to blame, but then we grow up and, we have real life and real estate. There are always things changing, and to keep that positive mindset to, like investing in a house. Yes, we don't have the 2%. However, it's 7%, and it's better than when it was 8%.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and I've just, even ever since September 11th, I just feel that more positive aspect of me, just really bloomed during that time, because as horrible as that event was, I looked for gratitude and I was grateful how Americans came together. Right. So that's what I think that buyers and sellers, and even if you purchase, and I'm not saying that the values are going down, clearly they're going up, but even if they come down a little, it's still a long-term investment. If you look at it over the number of years, you're still winning.
If you would have bought a house less than 20 years ago, so let's say 05, 06, when things were kind of going crazy, and the market crashed in 07, 08, and that house lost 50% of its value, and you sold it in 2025, you would have put a lot of money in your pocket.
Yes.
So it was a bump in the road. I mean, I lived it, so I can say it was a bump in the road. Did it feel like one? No, it felt like the world, was coming to an end and the sky was falling. But you look back on it in our industry, in the scope of our industry, it was a bump in the road.
Yeah. You don't have a real estate industry without contractions and expansion.
No.
And I mean, like, again, the squid, we're like a squid. The whole real estate industry is all about contracting and expanding, and that's how we move through. That's how it gives us an industry.
Unfortunately, this last 12 months with a presidential election in place, and presidential elections always expose things, whether good or bad or whatever. But in the last 12 months, a lot of people were like, well, we don't like inflation. We want things to be affordable, but I don't want my home values to go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you think inflation is? It's when things go up. And if your house is going up, it's not going to be as affordable as it once used to be. So you can't have both, So, and that got exposed. And I'm thinking, you've got so many people out there that are talking out, both sides of their mouth, instead of taking a different attitude like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is, you know what? Yes, this little thing over here may hurt for a little bit, but the end result is way more positive.
Yeah. Some of the buyers and sellers, we need to get in and do a little rewiring of that brain, because
more than a few.
Yeah. Exactly.
A lot of people in this country need rewiring.
Yeah.
All right. So again, mental health is important to me, not just in this market and work and business and everything else. I was sharing with you before that a year and a half ago, roughly, I had a medical emergency that left me looking at life a little bit different. Let's put it this way. When I came out of surgery and I woke up and everything, I actually asked the doctor, did I die? Because, it was that traumatic. And they couldn't give me an answer. They just said, well, your heart was on bypass. So I guess, but no, your heart didn't stop. So, it's kind of one of those things. And I was like, okay, not to bore people with that story, but it gave me a different outlook on life. It gave me a different view on how I'm going to perceive things. So not just in the real estate industry, but, in society in general, how many people, percentage wise, do you think are in a healthy place mentally? I want that figure because I know it's very small.
Yeah.
Oh, very, very small. And after COVID, it got even worse.
Yeah.
COVID really just put people over the edge where, they're just, and I don't know that there is a true percentage out there.
Because it's way less than the people who need assistance.
Yes.
It may be a little bit of assistance.
Well, and with the stigma around it, you don't have your true numbers, right? Because not everybody is going to go to the doctor where those are the numbers that are, and when you were telling your story, isn't it something that we have to go through an almost near life death experience to change our perspective on things?
It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Because at the time when it happened, I was 58 years old. I'm 60 now. And it took me 58 years to
Get there. Yeah.
take a look around me and go, this is what's outside of us. Society is telling us, and how we were raised and all this other stuff. It's created this false narrative that these other things in life are important, when in actuality it's not. The reason I wanted that percentage, I knew where the answer was very low compared to, there's a mental health problem in the United States, not just the United States, but pretty much all over the world. I was surprised when after my surgery, I had a little PTSD. I had what they call survivor's remorse. And so they put me on a small dosage of Zoloft to help with that. And when I was telling people, my family and friends that I know, that I was on Zoloft, they're like, oh, I'm on that too. I was surprised.
Yeah, exactly.
How many people are on something like that to help with their mental health?
Yeah.
And I never knew. It's not like it was completely mood altering, know? I was like, wow, really? All of you?
Yeah.
I'm the only one that wasn't.
No, and that goes back to the stigma. Nobody talks about it. It's, you have to take the Zoloft in hiding. What is the core of the problem? The medication isn't going to fix the problem. Yeah. My aunt describes it really great. She's like, oh yeah, I take my depression medicine. My problems don't go away. They're just on the other side of the room. Right.
Yeah.
So,
you got to deal with the core of it. Right. Yeah.
And, that's not always pretty.
So people my situation was a little bit different only because I just was very emotional about a lot of stuff, good and bad. Like, why did I survive? Then, oh my God, I did survive. And oh my God, so for me, it was just dealing with the trauma. And I knew that, so it's like, but I needed something to help me deal with the trauma.
Yeah.
For other people, it's much more deeper. Yeah. And that it's a shame. But one of the things that you do is you kind of mix the two. I mean, by using your real estate to help promote mental awareness. And is that what you were doing?
Yes. Well,
she's the only one out there that I know, and I know a ton of agents you do too, that she's very unique in that sense. And she combines the two, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, and were you there at Women of Strength? Did you?
And I didn't go.
Yep.
No.
Okay. And so I had one.
I knew that you had
one Women of Strength award for my work in trauma and mental health. It's something that's important. It's something that every single one of us have. It's something that we're not taught that in school. We're not taught, I see like little kids saying I am statements or even breathing. We don't even know the right way to breathe. Where when you are in that trauma situation, you can utilize your breath to keep your nervous system in check, right? And any other time of trauma, I was in Ireland and my loved one, halfway through the trip, I had to involuntarily admit him to a behavioral health hospital. I'm in another country. I can't leave him, right? Because here in the US, if somebody has a mental illness, they go in the hospital 24, 48 hours and then they let them out. And so I wasn't going to let that happen to my loved one. And it was breathing.
Really?
Right, to keep my nerve and being grateful. Like I was grateful that all of the doctors spoke English. Yeah. Right. I was grateful that, I was the one with him and not somebody else. So when those bad things happen, right, I can sit here and tell you, oh, choose to be positive. But in the moment, that's what I did to survive.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. And the breathing and just keeping my nervous system right, because I couldn't lose it, right? Because I had to make sure my loved one was good. And so, you know, that's a little extreme for people. However, everyday life.
It's everyday life. It's everyday life. And I will tell you this. I mean, this is my fucking year. I know I keep saying that, but it's a lot of time and a lot of stuff, water under the bridge, but a lot of transactions closed. And one thing that I can tell you is that in the last probably 10 years, I have seen more single moms buy homes. Not because it's good. I mean, it's good investment. We all know that, but it also, it's for them, it's part of the healing process.
Yes.
It gives them a sense of worth. It gives them a sense of accomplishment. She's doing something for her kids.
Yeah.
And, I didn't see as many years ago for whatever reason, but in the last 10 years or so, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how many single moms, divorced women, that are with their kids they're fairly young, with fairly young kids that are getting into the real estate market because they know what it can do for somebody's psyche.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it just feels good when you're, that mortgage payment is the mortgage payment, but it's still something you're building your own equity. You get to walk away with.
Well, if somebody came to me and said, look, you're going to have a mortgage payment, or we'll call it rent, whatever you want, but in 5 years, you can sell your house and put $83,000 in your pocket, or you can give me rent, call it, and in 5 years, you can move out and you get nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an easy choice to make. That's for sure. Josh, I know she has
we have
listing because you guys have open house.
We got
Saturday,
the 11th of January.
That would be February 11th.
January 11th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
January 11th.
And this house is awesome. Ilona, tell us about your listing.
It's a three bedroom with a loft, 2.5 bath.
Where's it at?
It is in Santan Valley, right off of Hunt Highway and Gary Road. It's in great condition. It has a new roof. It has a new air conditioner, a really gorgeous pool.
I was going to say the pool is amazing. Isn't it a saltwater pool? Did I read that? Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, gorgeous.
It has a heater and a cooler.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
What?
And I have had houses with pools, and it's nice to have the cooling.
Josh has a house with a pond.
A pool and a pond. Pond would be good for you.
Yeah, I've lived as an adult. I've never lived in a home with a pool. I want to, because it's a mental thing. It's not just physically you go swim, but to be able to mentally decompress and go sit by the pool or maybe whatever.
I have found. I'm going to tell you right now. I've had houses with pools. I maybe go in them twice over a 10-year period. And if I go out to sit by them, it's too damn hot for me to go out and sit by them. So I'm done with pools.
You're hot in an air conditioner.
I know. I run hot.
So the house is it's Santan Valley. You said 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, correct?
Yes, with a loft.
And it's listed for $479,900.
Yes.
Which I know this might be hard to believe, but that's a really good price.
Yeah, it is.
Only because $479,900 a few years ago was like, ooh, whoa, that's. But hey, it's the new north.
Just under 2,300 square feet, so 2,287 square foot. Can we give them the address? Right? I mean, 965 West Saguaro Lane in Santan Valley, 85143.
And your open house is Saturday, January 11th.
Yep.
At what time?
11 a.m. till 3 p.m.
11 to 3.
Yep.
So if you're interested, hopefully you'll see this before the open house is held on January 11th. Saturday. We keep saying that because I don't want you to see this video in February.
Yeah, show up.
Yeah. But either way, you should give Ilona Poka a call if you're looking for an agent who cares, who's an expert, who will look out for your best interests, is going to do the right thing, and is genuinely very, very good at what she does. Ilona, how does somebody get a hold of you? Phone number, email address?
You can call or text me at 480-650-9964, 480-650-9964. And my website is livingaz.com. LIVING.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Josh, another great show.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Thank you. And we will talk to you guys next week.